Good morning. Welcome, everyone, and thank you for joining. A few housekeeping items before we get started. If you have not already muted your microphone, please do so now. My name is Kara Harrison, and I'm a project manager here at FDA QRC. I will be presenting today's content without interruption, but you may enter questions into the chat bar at any time. I do plan to take questions at the end of the presentation. And please note, many questions were submitted in advance, and I will choose from these questions to find the ones I feel best address the audience needs, and also as time allows. If you do have additional questions after the webinar, you can easily email me at my email address as noted on the last page of this webinar, and I will attempt to put the questions together and supply them to all attendees at the end. We also have a certificate available, and if you would like an attendance certificate, please follow the link at the end of the presentation. Thank you. My main goal for today is to provide a very high-level view of how to approach a regulatory agency inspection. This view is formed by my own personal experiences and that of my colleagues here at FDA QRC during many FDA, EMA, MHRA inspections over the years. The tenets here and the ideas that we will be conveying today actually, they translate to any agency. Obviously, I won't be able to go into agency specific or your company specific details in the time allotted to us today. But I hope to start you thinking about how you as an individual and as a company can create and implement an effective inspection preparation plan. I would like to help you identify where to focus your efforts and strategies for how to approach them. It really depends upon the approach. Inspections happen. There are multiple reasons for and environments in which they may take place, which depend upon the process, the product, or data being reviewed. Chances are, if you are involved in product development in a regulated business, you will be involved in an inspection at some point in your career. And that's a good thing. It's part and parcel of what we do. It's part of our industry and something we should look at as a learning opportunity. Just a quick note of some of the example agencies that we commonly encounter in North America and Western Europe. I've included the websites here for easy access. Hopefully, you already know where to find this information. United States has the Food and Drug Administration, EU, EMA, as you can see from here. So why do inspections happen? Again, there are many reasons, but the majority occur as part of an agency's mandate to review, regulate, oversee regulated industries' operation. Most are considered surveillance, which means that they are scheduled on a regular, recurring time frame. And this is very common in manufacturing type or GMP environments. It depends again on each individual agency what their mandate is and what the scheduled time frame is. But most of these are considered just regular routine. Now, some inspections are triggered. That is, they occur in response to an application or receipt of a complaint or another event, such as a foodborne illness outbreak, a complaint, or other series of events. An agency conducts inspections to make assessments. Inspectional activities will depend upon the subject matter and the focus of the inspection, of course, but generally they come down to ensuring the validity, accuracy, reliability of data, conformity of an approved product, compliance with regulations and approved processes, protection of rights, safety, and welfare, or the firm's overall state of control. Basically, that means, are they doing what they say they will be doing? Are they doing it how they say it will be done? And is the end product, whatever that is, what it is purported to be? So in a nutshell, inspection teams will look at a lot of things and ask a lot of questions. Your goal should be to understand what they will want to see, have it ready, and answer your questions as clearly, efficiently, effectively, and completely as possible, so that they leave as soon as possible, are satisfied with the answers, and feel no further need for follow-up. To do this, you need to be proactive and informed. Remember, each inspection and each agency is very different. They have different procedures and different areas of focus. Some are planned, some are not. Some request documentation in advance, some do not. Your best weapon is preparation. Preparation leads to inspection readiness. Well, what is inspection readiness? Well, okay. An easy way to say it is it's a state of informed anticipation and preparation, a state of constant inspection readiness. Believe it or not, inspection readiness is an expectation of regulators. They expect us to be ready at any time to conduct and facilitate an inspection. Over the years, I have found it is impossible to anticipate everything that may happen, especially during a regulatory agency inspection. But you can gain an advantage by pursuing readiness. I have also found that readiness depends upon a proactive combination of 3 elements, or the trifecta. It's a combination of attitude, approach, and activation. A proactive and positive attitude, plan and practice, and putting it all together on inspection day. As popular wisdom says, attitude is everything, and both corporate and individual attitudes are very important when preparing and approaching an inspection. Inspection prep has to start from the top down. As individuals, we will each have a role, whether it's being directly involved in an inspection process, such as being interviewed or asked to provide information, filling a supporting role or backroom role, such as acting as a note taker or compiling documents, or just being in-house during one. We each have a role. Corporate culture is just as important. Failure to be compliant in a corporation's operations can lead to findings during inspections. That's a bit of a no-brainer. And that non-compliance, combined with inspections that are not conducted appropriately, can have significant consequences. The ideal corporate culture, of course, then, is one of compliance, and one with an understanding of the importance of readiness. Individual and corporate attitudes and language can make such a big difference. Listen, inspectors are people, and like anyone else, they rely on communications to do their jobs. Instead of looking at inspections as adversarial interactions, try flipping it and using positive, collaborative terms. Things like inspection room, preparation room versus war room. It's not always easy. I understand that because we have past experiences and there's a lot of fear when it comes to inspections. I recommend starting from a place of anticipation. Again, it's not always easy, but I have personally seen inspection teams on both sides salvage potentially negative situations by conscientiously changing the tone of the language and terms that they were using. Approaching inspection prep. Inspection preparation is most successful when it is valued and approached as an active part of a company's operations. Leadership articulates understanding and supports the effort to foster a successful outcome. Again, it's not easy and it takes time. A lot can be riding on a good outcome, so it's always best if leadership empowers the company to prepare and understands that time will be needed to set aside to truly do it right. It's not just a one and done kind of thing. In most successful inspection preparations that I have been involved in, the inspection prep effort is a separate, fully supported coordination role. Most of the time, the person or persons who are given this role come from the quality or quality assurance group, but that does not have to be the case. It really depends upon your company size and available resources, of course. Ideally, though, this person will be someone who is supported and empowered to coordinate and direct activities of personnel at all levels of the organization. The ideal coordinator, whatever the title is someone with the following attributes. At a minimum, has some project management skills. That doesn't mean that they have to be a project manager. It doesn't mean that they've ever been a project manager, but they have those requisite skills to identify what needs done, assign timelines, assign people to do them, and follow through. Perhaps they have experience in conducting or facilitating an inspection. Perhaps they do this all the time. This person would also be very good at building rapport with all levels and skill sets of people. They also need to be a little strong-willed, but in a collaborative way, so that they can hold people accountable to commitments. And it's vital, again, that they are empowered by leadership to hold people accountable. Obviously, inspection prep should start as soon as possible, especially if an inspection is anticipated, and incorporate both short-range and long-term aspects. There are usually two levels of plans that need to be thought about and developed: high-level and specific. A high-level inspection plan is something that can be used during any type of generic inspection and deals more with high-level items such as physical reception and management of inspection team personnel on site. These are things like how to receive announcement phone calls or inquiries, who should be notified when someone arrives, and when should they be notified, where should inspection personnel be hosted, and who will be responsible for escorting them or providing facility access. This is the general stuff, and where things such as who to call, who will initially interact with the inspectors are determined. This plan is very helpful during unannounced inspections and saves everyone a lot of time when it's successfully executed. I recommend that these type of questions be asked and encapsulated into a robust general inspection management SOP and updated as often as necessary so that personnel identifications, phone numbers, so that everyone from the physical receptionist all the way through to anyone on the floor is aware of what needs to be happening. Regardless of what level plan you're working on, you need to start with questions. The basics apply here. You know, when we were growing up, we were all told the basic questions are why, what, when, who, how, where. Well, these are the same things here. The why. Why might we be inspected? What? What most likely will be the target of an inspection? When? When do we anticipate or know this might happen? For example, you're on a 5-year inspection schedule and it's coming up, it's year 4. Or perhaps you anticipate a marketing application submission. Who will need to be there? Hopefully, it's the people who are most knowledgeable about the process. Who will do what? Who will fill what roles? Will there be someone in the back room? Who's going to be in the front room? Who's going to manage information? Those types of questions. How? How will they do these things? And where? Where will all of these activities take place? Okay, let's move on to more specific planning. First of all, you have to identify your target. Find the why. What does your company do that makes it regulated? And what might cause an inspection? Perhaps you already know. Perhaps there's a pre-approval inspection that's due. Perhaps there's been a submission. Perhaps it's a routine surveillance system audit or inspection. Once you know the why, identify the applicable agencies. Take the why and the agency, and then find the applicable guidance and publications from that agency. They really sort of give us a head start. For example, FDA publishes something called compliance programs in the FDA Compliance Program Guidance Manual. You can find them all at fda.gov. These materials and documents describe the intentions and methods that the agency uses for inspection of regulated entities. Part 3 of these documents, Inspectional Methods, actually breaks down the basic questions that an agency inspector must answer during an inspection and gives you a view into the areas of focus that may come up. For example, here on the slide, I have provided compliance program for sponsors, contract research organizations, and monitors. Section 3 actually calls out documents and questions. EMA and MHRA have similar materials available on their websites and working groups. Obviously, again, it's impossible to anticipate everything that may come up. But if you review these programs and break them down into identifiable questions, documents, and areas of focus, you can use this as a roadmap for your inspection plan. I have found it very helpful to use either Excel or Microsoft Project to create the breakdown of documents, questions, and tasks. Use this roadmap, or whatever form you choose to use, to assign a responsible person or a subject matter expert to provide or create or coordinate provision of the assigned tasks. Someone who will oversee and has, hopefully, knowledge of the area that's being reviewed. Perhaps they are the person who actually did the work and knows the system cold. This is the person that you want leading the effort for that particular question or topic. Remember, the inspection readiness coordinator or whoever is in charge of this effort will be overseeing the bigger picture, but it's broken down into workable chunks, and each chunk will have someone responsible for it. Don't forget to consider and include any vendors or subcontractors who may be identified or had a part in whatever task, project, document that may be involved. It's also a great idea to have a backup for each SME person identified. People move on. People get sick. People take vacations. It's always good to have a backup for every single person or every single role, and allow that person time to devote to the preparation and the process of getting ready for the inspection. I'd like to reiterate, ideally, whoever is identified to participate in an inspection has the knowledge, the authority, and the skill to provide the information that will be requested. Now, let's be realistic, however. Not everyone is involved in a project or a process from start to finish. A lot of times I'm asked questions such as, okay, we have an inspection coming and I'm the project manager in charge, but I just started and the clinical trial was 3 years ago. What do I do? Sometimes I'm asked, well, yeah, I'm really good and I can explain it cold, but I'm just not really good at communicating. Well, ideally, this would not be the case, but these are questions that need to be asked. The Inspection Readiness Coordinator, the SME, and other team members need to be able to assist. They also need to be able to accurately judge the ability of someone who may be put in the inspection room. A plan for training and practice should be put into place. Also, give that person, again, I said this before, but give that person time, preparation, and support, and have a backup. Backup for each role is vitally important. Someone who can cross-train, or someone who has the time and experience to share inspection readiness tips. It's really important that the people who will be involved feel prepared and empowered. So you have the tasks identified, SMEs assigned, and everyone is working diligently on their assigned tasks. Is that it? Are you done? No. Not only do you need to assess and prepare based upon what the agency guidance provides, you need to do a little internal due diligence too. Start this with an assessment of the current state of not only your inspection management practices, but perform a gap analysis of the anticipated inspection target. Sometimes it helps to have an external party do this for you so there is no perceived judgment or knowledge of the past history. These are fresh eyes, so to speak, but it really is up to you. Keep in mind too that if issues are already known, problem areas, skeletons in the closet, do not ignore them. Those are simply a head start of where to look. Use this gap and those known issues to identify needed remediations or corrections, or plans for how to address them. Keeping in mind also, corrections sometimes cannot be made because it's well after the fact. So you need to also develop a strategy for how to present things should those questions come up. Things like storyboards, summaries, CAPAs, whatever format works best for your firm. But if you know an issue exists, if you know there is a very high likelihood that the question will arise, think about how you're going to answer it. Have it ready so that you can pull it out, take care of it, be done. Perhaps there are many known issues, but there are some bigger ones, or ones that you know may need to have a little bit better explanation. When those come up, and you know that they will, be prepared to explain the why it came up, what happened, what you did about it, how you mitigated it or didn't. Be prepared to explain what the previous process was that led to the non-compliance, or identify any corrections made. Do your best to show that yes, there was a problem, we acknowledge it, but this is what we did about it, and this is what we are doing going forward. So you've got your plan, you've got your roadmap. The coordinator is overseeing the entire effort. The SMEs are working on their particular portions. We need to make sure that we periodically assess not only the progress of the preparations, but periodically assess any of the remediations. They need to be confirmed that they're effective and that they're going in the right direction. I recommend regular team check-ins and regular reviews of any deliverables, any supporting documents, any plans or summaries by the SME, especially if the SME is going to be the person who has to communicate directly with the inspection team. If something isn't working, if something's no longer making sense, or perhaps you need assistance, escalate it to the coordinator. It is very important that everyone keeps the coordination role fully involved and fully informed. Obviously, there may be other things that come up, more items, more questions, more things. If the job or the number of items begins to be overwhelming, it is the coordinator's role to prioritize. Again, you can prepare as much as possible. It is most important to do preparations if you have limited amount of time, to limit the preparations to those that will have the highest impact. At the same time that we're working on our roadmaps, putting together our evidence, we need to consider training. People need to practice. It's really difficult to manage an inspection if you've never been in one before. People get nervous, and it's totally understandable. So I recommend routine, regular training at all levels of the company, both high level and specific. Training, mobilization, doing a dry run of the general SOP and inspection plan, making sure that that runs as smoothly as possible, that people are comfortable doing this. A review of the specific, say you know you have a study that's going to get inspected, train on that. Give people time to review the documentation. Training on how to interact and how to be interviewed. That's very important also. An external party can do this for you, or you can do it internally. It's whatever your company decides to do. I also highly recommend, after you've started your roadmap and perhaps done your gap analysis, done some preliminary corrections in practice, that you have a true mock inspection exercise. It's important, again, because this is practice. The more you practice, the better you get. Also, with turnover in a company, if you're doing this on a regular basis, you're not missing something or missing someone. So we have our roadmap, we've done our gap, we know what the known issues are most likely to be. We've identified and we've got documentation in the works. We've done training. Well, we also need to consider a back room. An inspection team, an inspection room needs to be supported by a facilitation team, someone working in the preparation triage back room. Both the inspection team group and the back room are vital to success. The back room and the triage room needs to be resourced and allowed to give an opportunity to practice. Roles and tasks need to be determined in each room. For example, who's going to take notes? Who's going to provide information? So quickly, just to go over some of the questions. And again, it all starts with questions. If you know what's going to be coming up, if you know the documents that are going to be needed, if you know the topics, then you need to figure out, how are we going to facilitate? How will our teams communicate? How will we provide the documents? Will it be electronic or hard copy? What format will it be in? Will we give directed access? Will we give direct access to inspection teams? Or will we have to assist them? Will they? So now that brings us to our last element, activation, where we put it all together. We mobilize our forces. It's getting ready for inspection day, or perhaps it is inspection day. But before an actual inspection takes place, there are things I recommend you do. Perform a dry run. Test all of your plans, all of your equipment. I would consider obtaining backup equipment and testing that too. Whether that is computer laptops, whether that is projectors, test your Wi-Fi, make sure that your systems are running and functional, and that there is a backup in case they don't the day of the inspection. I recommend that both the inspection team and triage team, and especially those people who will be providing information, perform a thorough review of the files, documents, and issues to become acquainted with their contents and the location of any specific items. Each SME and their backup should know where things are and should be able to be accountable for the completeness and accuracy of those documents. Facilitators should also know what the materials are. Know what needs to be provided, where to find it, and what it should look like. Practicing before the inspection is always preferable. So practice interviews and how to provide the information. Support those team members that may need a little extra time and guidance. Be patient and be aware that it will be tense. There's a lot of human factors involved here, but remember, attitude is everything. A successful inspection is a collaborative team effort. No one person's answers will be the end-all and be-all. Support and hold each other accountable, but assign no blame. Work together for a successful outcome. So putting again all together, activation, this is where it happens. It's inspection day. All of the preparation that you have done, all of the activities that you have performed, all of the documents that you have put together. Keep in mind, I said this before, I will continue to say this, it is impossible to anticipate everything. But all of the work that you have done, putting this together, even if something comes up that you had not thought of, you'll have the tools and the skills to find the answers quickly. Inspection day is here. I would recommend that you consider providing the inspection team with a welcome package. This is a folder of materials that echo the relevant compliance program or information request. These are things that are commonly requested right at the beginning of an inspection. Having it ready, like the company overview, an organizational chart, the TMF index, Wi-Fi access codes, accounts, how to do things, this will save a lot of time. You're going to, again, remember, the goal is to get their answers as quickly as possible and get them out the door. If you can save the inspection team some time, then that can occur quickly, or more quickly than it would otherwise. I wish you the best of luck in your inspections. I hope that I have been able to provide you with some tips and some strategies. This again was a very high-level view on what we wanted to do. So are there any questions? Please provide these questions via the chat. I will also now read some questions that came in from the survey and provide some feedback. If we run out of time for questions, please email me as I've noted before, and I will put the questions together and supply them.